Morning, welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. A choking dog can be a scary situation for any pet owner to deal with. According to the Humane Society, more than 200,000 pets each year are seen by vets because of choking incidents. So let's talk a little bit more about this issue and some of the best ways to handle it so that you and your pet are just fine. I'm joined right now by Dr. Krista Wells, Medical Director of Veterinarian Emergency Group, to discuss this issue. Dr. Wells, good morning to you. This type of situation is more common than I thought. Tell me, have you seen these kind of situations in your practice, and what do you tell your patients? Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Thanks for having me. So I think it's much more common than you would expect. If you think about choking events, they don't have to always end in a life-threatening emergency, but for a pet to choke even for a couple of seconds on something small and then spit it up is still a choking event. So we get this pretty frequently at Veterinary Emergency Group. We pride ourselves on always calling and speaking with a doctor. So we get this call a lot where owners call and say, "Hey, my pet's choking on something. What can I do?" So I think it's actually much more common than a lot of people would think.
Gotcha. And so when that happens, is there kind of a basic guideline of what to do with your dog? I know humans, we do the Heimlich maneuver. Is there a similar situation with our dog? Or I guess, does it happen to a cat often? I'm not sure.
I would say less often than a cat. They're a little bit more discreet on what they tend to swallow. They really like small stringed things like that, so they don't tend to choke on them. But with a dog, you'd think of them swallowing more balls or treats. So you can try Heimlich maneuvers, similar like you would do in a person. It's actually a very similar maneuver. You make a ball with your fist, you put that underneath their rib cage, kind of hold them upright and thrust upwards in a way to try to get them to bring that object out. You can try to remove something from their mouth if you can see it. We warn owners because often dogs are very stressed out in this, as you could imagine. So they can accidentally bite you. So if you can see it, you can try to grab it out pretty easily. If you think that it's pretty far in the back of their throat, we would recommend probably just trying to get to an emergency facility because you may inadvertently push it further in. So it's case by case, but if you can see it pretty easily, we'd recommend trying to grab it.
Gotcha. So I guess the first thing is a pet owner should, if they see that their dog is in distress and maybe perhaps choking on something, to immediately go to the mouth and see if you can pull something out. Is that right?
I would agree. I would always look and see if there's something physically visible in the front of their mouth. If you can't see anything, that's probably when you're going to have to head towards an emergency facility, especially if they don't seem to be in too much distress. But yes, if you can see it, just like in a kid, that'd be your first move for sure.
So at what point do you think it's time to go to an emergency vet or, make that trip?
I think it's case by case, and it's always going to be difficult to know what a choking event may turn into. It may be super simple, and your pet ultimately kind of hacks once or twice and vomits something up. But if they seem to be distressed in a way where maybe they're having trouble breathing or they just seem to still be coughing or hacking on an object, I would definitely recommend heading to an emergency vet. If your pet has been in a choking event for more than a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes and you think it passes, we'd still recommend you go in. Often dogs will swallow those objects and they'll still need to be removed via endoscopy. Dogs can get things stuck in their esophagus that still needs to be removed. So we'd oftentimes say you're better off heading to an emergency vet, even if you think things have passed, but definitely if you think your pet is distressed or having trouble breathing.
So we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the digital desk, Doctor. If there's a certain bullet point or checklist that we can give everyone if they see their dog perhaps choking, maybe 2 or 3 points, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I'd say first try to check the mouth and see if it's simply removed. Second, if it seems like they are actively choking, you can definitely try Heimlich maneuver. If all of that fails, you should hopefully already know where your closest emergency vet is. Grab a buddy and head that way.
Okay, Dr. Krista Wells, Veterinary Emergency Group. We appreciate you taking time to tell us about this very important message out there for all those pet owners. We thank you very much for this information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.